Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the June 2026 release of CachyOS. And just to start, I want to cover this real quick. I know there's been a lot of talk about the AUR malware situation, so I actually responded to CachyOS and asked them if they have any recommended tools that we could use to see if we had fell victim to the malware attack against the AUR. They have removed Paru and they recommend using this Shelly application. Also, they state that they added network isolation to pacman, which would have prevented all previous malicious events with the bun/npm install and the .install file. So shout out to Cachy for responding to me. And then we'll switch over to the release notes here. This is their 4th release of the year, bringing the new CachyOS Hyprland Noctalia, which is the desktop environment that I use in this video. DNS-over-QUIC, which basically DNS over, instead of TCP, they're using UDP protocol, makes it faster. Python and GCC performance improvements, and a variety of installer and hardware detection fixes. So I will get the ISO and then I'll show you how to put that ISO on a USB stick, and then we'll proceed to the install. Feel free to skip that if you already know how to do all that stuff. Okay, we've got our ISO downloaded. I'm going to open Fedora Media Writer, select ISO, next, select. And we're going to select our CachyOS ISO and write that to USB stick, put in your password, and we'll let that write. Once this is done, just restart your computer and strike your boot key on your keyboard. It's normally the keys F9 through F12. Depending on who your motherboard vendor is, that will change. But we'll let this write and I'll see you at the installer. Okay, we made it to the installer. Just going to click on Launch Installer. We're going to go Install. Click on Next. Select our time zone, Next. Keyboard, Next. And then here we've got our bootloader options. We've got Grub, REFIND for Mac users if they want to dual boot, System Deboot, and Limine. We'll go ahead with Limine. What's cool with Limine is it's got the ButterFS snapshot integration out of the box. So if you installed an update and it broke something, you can reboot into Limine and select your last known good boot configuration. And Omarchi uses that as well. Use that and click Next. We want to use our entire hard drive, erase the disk. ButterFS is good. Next. Okay, and we've got a slew of different desktop options. We've got Plasma, GNOME, Cosmic, Neri, it's a scrollable tiling window manager, Cinnamon, Budgie, Mate, XFCE, LXQT, LXDE, Hyprland, the Mango window manager, Sway. Not all of them have a preview, it looks like. Sway does not. Wayfire does not. i3. I guess they figure these older ones, you've already seen them before, so there's no reason to include a animation. Qtile, BSPWM, and OpenBox. So for this video, I'm going to use Hyprland. Next. And then we've got our packages. I'm going to unselect Firefox. I'm going to download the Linux IT Guy Toolbox and we'll get Zen installed. Alright, we'll go ahead and set this up. This is going to be my capture PC, so we'll say Chris Capture. And I really am putting in a super secret password this time. Use the same, it's fine. Next. And then it's just a summary of all the partitions it's going to create for us. I'm just going to click on Install. Install now. Alright, and we're going to let this install and I will meet you at the first login. We've made it to the first login and we're greeted with a welcome screen here. README, forums, get involved, release info, software development, wiki, donate, apps and tweaks, install applications, troubleshooting. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to close out of that. And let's go into the terminal. And since this is our first login, let's do a sudo pacman syu. Then our password. And that'll go check for updates, which we don't have any, so that's fine. While we're in here, we can go ahead and knock out the Fastfetch. So we're running CachyOS. It's Linux kernel 7.1.2-3. We've got a little over 1,000 pacman packages. The shell is fish 4.7.1. The window manager is Hyprland. The terminal is Alacrity 0.17. We're using about 1.6 out of our 16 gigs. And the install was a little under 7 gigabytes. And to get out of this, we could either type exit or we can do super Q for quit. Okay, and to do our application launcher, it's going to be super spacebar. It's going to bring up our application launcher here. We're going to go to Kitty. And let's go ahead and do an HTOP. Looks like that's not installed, so we'll go ahead, up arrow a few times, and let's grab that. Just do a clear. And we'll do HTOP again. Okay, give it a second to load. CPUs between 1, 2, and 3%. The RAM being used is about 1.5 out of our 16. And then we've got our processes. Keep in mind I've got OBS running as well. I'm just going to do a Control-C to close that down. And then let's run BTOP. All right, we've got 1.75 gigs out of our 16 being used. There's our disk partitions, our network, and then our processes over here. CPU is between 1, 2, and 3% as well. And that's BTOP. I'm just going to do another Control-C. Let's take a look at the system tray. Starting over on the left, we've got our launcher, which again is super space. Our date and time, if we click on that, we've got a calendar. And then it looks like you can add your location as well to see the weather. Next to that, we've got our CPU usage, our temperature, load average, our memory being used, any swap usage, our download and upload speeds, as well as how much of our hard drive is being used and how much is available. And those are just different icons. It looks like if you hover over them, you get the same information for all three of those. Then you've got your workspace in the middle. And over on the side, our system tray. Of course, I've got OBS, and then I've got my Wi-Fi connection. Then you've got your notifications, your sound, your display. If you right-click that, you can get display settings. And then our control center, which shows your username, your uptime, your settings, power options, and you can close. You got your internet connection, Bluetooth, your wallpapers and performance mode, notifications, power profile, keep awake, so it's like a caffeine application that's built in. And this next icon won't let me, it doesn't give me any additional information when I hover over it. Then your sound and your microphone. Again, you can have your weather here. And then you've got a nice little breakdown of your CPU usage, your temperature, RAM usage, and your disk. Again, I told you I unticked Firefox so we could go grab the Linux IT Guy Toolbox. So let's go ahead and do super spacebar, go back into Kitty, and let's do a git clone, HTTPS, github.com, the Linux IT Guy, toolbox.git. Then I want to cd into that. Let's list those files and let's see if we can do a // and run it. All right, it worked right out of the box. Cool. I didn't have to do any prereqs with this. That's great. So it will be the Flatpak version. Let's go ahead and click on Zen. We don't have anything that I need to uninstall, so I'm just gonna, but as a demo, so let me kind of run over some features of this. Supported distros, we've got Arch, Debian, and Fedora. Of course, we're using CachyOS, so we're using an Arch-based. And then over here in the bottom, we've got CachyOS, the package manager's pacman, of course. So you would select all the different applications that you want to install. Under the Remove tab, if you had anything in here that you wanted to uninstall, you could do that. And then under Administration, you can enable and disable Bluetooth, install TLP if you're running on a laptop, and install PowerTop. You can update your system, install Stacer, Fastfetch, and the swap fix. Fastfetch is already installed, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. And this Nala that's got the ranked mirrors, that's only going to work on a Debian install. And then we've got our system information. So I'm going to go back to install. We've got the Zen browser we want to get installed here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Put in our password. Let that run, and I'll join you once that completes. All right, that did complete. So we're going to do super space, and let's type in Zen for the Zen browser. And I can confirm that the Zen browser is installed. That was just a quick demo of the toolbox that I created. All right, and this next section is going to be covering the Arch user repository. So going back to the beginning of the video where the CachyOS team responded to my tweet to them, asking them if there's any tools that they recommended. They said, Shelly does a static analysis now on package builds and hints at the user that this package could be bad. So I haven't seen an example of this, but I am going to pull up just, let me go to the AUR. I know Paymac is a good package. It was created by the folks over at Manjaro. So we'll go into preview package build. And the main thing here is you just want to make sure you know where it's coming from and what it's doing, right? So if you're new to Linux, you can just skip past this section of the video. I would hate for you to install anything that might have something malicious inside of it. If I were you and I was running Arch and I'm new, I would use Pacman and Flatpaks exclusively. Okay, let's take a look at the Noctalia settings. So just the top right, click on the little owl and then go to settings. And we've got our basic and keybinds that shows our home directory, default font, our monospace font, the default size of both, reverse scrolling, smooth scrolling. And then we've got our user interface. It's got our appearance. To the right of appearance, we've got our panels and screen corners. We've got our color scheme. We're in dark mode. Sync the system theme, so that way you can make other applications look like the desktop theme. Dark mode schedules, if you only wanted it to come on at night. Set that up there. Use wallpaper colors. Automatically extracts the colors from your desktop to make a theme. That's pretty cool. And then predefined color schemes. Let's run through these. I think I'll stick with Nord for the rest of the video. And then wallpapers, enable wallpaper management. So if you have a wallpaper manager already, you can untick this guy here and use what you've already got. Wallpaper selector, I believe it's just the one wallpaper. So, and if you want additional wallpapers, you can throw them in your home folder pictures wallpaper. If you got more than one monitor, you can set the directory of your wallpapers specific to the monitor that you've got. I've only got the one. Use original images, skip resizing wallpapers before display, save disk space, reduce CPU usage. during wallpaper changes, but may use more memory for very large images. If you have a bunch of resized wallpapers, you can clear the cache for that. Look, you can change the fill mode, the color, transition type. Skip the startup transitions, skip the wallpaper animation when the shell starts. If you wanted to speed up your startup, I guess you could check that. Automation, you can schedule when the wallpaper changes and how often. Got your bar, the dock, desktop widgets, the control center, your launcher, notifications, on-screen display, your lock screen, session menu, what to do when it's idle. Right now it's disabled. You can customize. It looks like you can run your own custom script as well when it goes idle. Got your audio, and you can do a visualizer, display options, your internet connections, and then your region. You can enable discrete GPU monitoring. I have an Intel GPU, so unfortunately checking that's not going to do anything. You need an Intel or an AMD. You got different plugins, your hook commands, and then our about. Under system information, we're running CachyOS kernel 7.1.2-3 on the B660M motherboard. The uptime is 38 minutes, and that's on my 13th gen Intel i3. Like I said, the GPU is an Intel Arc B580, using 1.6 gigs out of the 16. I'm using a little under 10 gigs of my 500 total, and that's ButterFS. The window manager is Hyprland running on Wayland. We got a little over 1,100 pacman packages and 6 flat packs. And that's going to do it for today's video. If this video was helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Here are some other videos that you might find helpful as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.